Hey everyone. How's it going? Okay, so let's get started with the lesson. Here's the way our form works. You take a conjugated verb, so that's any verb you want. You conjugate it in the regular present tense conjugation. For example, this is a brand new pen. I swear I just took this out of the box. Dry erase marker. Yeah, dry erase marker, that's right. Okay, we're gonna do the whole lesson in blue today because that's how I'm feeling after trying to open that marker. For example, when you conjugate the yo form, you get heo from hada, right? Well, we don't want this yo. We just want this part. So you conjugate it and then you'll attach with a space 가지고. Or alternatively, you can also attach 갖고. The verb 가지고, I want to use black. Give me a second to get another one. This part, 가지고, comes from the verb 가지다, and it's used to say to have or to hold or to carry something. So what is this form? This form is used overall in the same way as this form, but it's only used in the same way as this form in two of this form's uses. It can replace this form whenever you're using it to mean because, as in a cause and effect, like something caused something, therefore, it happened because of something that caused it to happen. Or when you're saying, and then, when there are things that are related, like I went to the library and then I studied, implying that I studied at the library, not just that I studied in general somewhere else. Or maybe I made dinner with my family and ate it, implying that you ate it together as a family, not just I made the dinner with my family and then I went off by myself and ate it. So these are two meanings of the whole form that can be replaced with 가지고, not any of the other meanings. What I can say though is anytime you see 가지고, you can replace it 100% with the whole form to get the meaning, but not the other way around. When you see 서, you cannot necessarily swap it with 가지고 100% of the time. It's going to be wrong sometimes, but going from 가지고 to 서 is okay. And then if you want a review of how to use this form, 서, I did a live stream January 30th, 2022, which goes into more detail about all of the ways that it can be used. Now, I mentioned that you can say either 가지고 or 갖고. 갖고 is actually the exact same thing originally. They just removed this and then stuck it at the bottom. It's just a shortened version of it. However, 갖고 is slightly more casual sounding. 가지고 is going to be more commonly used than 갖고. Let's go now to the biggest question that you might have. What's the difference between 가지고 and 서? So besides what I said, 가지고 is only used in informal situations. What that means is you're going to hear it in conversations, or maybe in written conversations, or just in general writing, like you're just talking with someone. You're not going to hear this one used in formal situations. You're not going to hear it on the news. You're not going to ever want to use this in your essays. Not only is it informal, it can sound a bit casual. Now, it's not casual, but it kind of has the feeling of like you're speaking casually. It doesn't sound rude, like using casual speech to someone who you're not close with can sound rude. It sounds like you're being very friendly with them, which is appropriate in casual situations, not really when you're trying to impress someone. You're trying to give a speech, you're meeting your new boss or anything like that. It's kind of like you're saying, hey, we're friendly. That's kind of the feeling that you give when you use this form. So some people could take that friendliness as, well, it's a little bit too casual, and other people could take that as, oh, they're being friendly. So be careful. Also, in addition to sounding kind of soft and friendly, it also emphasizes whatever comes before it. It's soft in the fact that it's like friendly, like, ha ha hoo hoo, because, and then it has kind of a friendly, like we're friends sort of feeling, but it also has a stronger feeling on what it is that you're saying. So it's because something happens and then it just puts more emphasis, and this is hard to explain, but it adds more emphasis to whatever comes before it. So like, I made lunch today, 가지고, and then I ate it. So it has more emphasis on what you're saying. It just kind of pulls emphasis onto what comes before it. That can make a difference in some situations, like if someone's apologizing for something and they want to sound like, hey, I don't want this to sound like a really serious apology because it's nothing big, but, I was just, 그날 좀 바빠가지고, like, I was just kind of busy that day. And they want to say it, not that because I was busy that day, they want to say it more like friendly, right? Like, I was just busy that day. But by doing so, it also adds more emphasis to because I was busy that day. As a result, you'll often hear sentences that end with 가지고. So it's like, I was just I was just really busy the other day, therefore I couldn't meet you. But we don't have to say that whole sentence because you assume that that's going to come next. And then next, one of the other uses that the sol form has is to show the method or the way that something happens. There are hundreds of these verbs that use two verbs combined together, and one of them is showing the method or the way that you're doing something. In this case, to go. I'm going somewhere. How am I going there? 걸어서, by walking. Most of the time in these uses, you won't even see these 서 used. It'll just be 걸어가다, 돌아서 오다, to come here. How do I get here? Well, I return from somewhere and then come here. So that's how you say to return here, to come back. 찍어서 먹다. So I'm eating something. How am I eating it? 찍다, to dip it. So I'm dipping it and eating it. In English, we would just say I'm dipping it. The eating part is assumed. So this sort of usage, when you're saying the method or way by which you do something, cannot be replaced with 가지고. 서 is also used whenever you're saying some sort of feeling because of something. Like, I feel sorry because, or I'm happy because, or I'm sad because. Those sort of emotions are using 서. You wouldn't use 가지고 for that. A really, really common expression that uses this. 만나서 반가워요. You can't replace this sort of 서 form usage with 가지고 because so I'm finally hitting puberty at 37. Because or and then. That's it. 주말에, on the weekends, 주말에 친구들을 불러. So I call my friends. 부르다 means to call. 가지고 as in 불러서. So I call my friends and then related to calling my friends, so something related to that, as in we're going to do something together. 생일 파티를 했어요. And we had a birthday party. So on the weekend, I called my friends and we had a birthday party, implying we had a birthday party together. This is the same as using the 서 form here. 주말에 친구들을 불러가지고 생일 파티를 했어요. So on the weekend, I called my friends and we had a birthday party. 우리 집은, so my family, literally my house or our house, 일요일에, on Sunday, 브런치, brunch. 브런치를 만들다, to make brunch. So we make brunch, 가지고, and then we do something with brunch, 먹어요. So we make and eat lunch. 우리 집은 일요일에 브런치를 만들어가지고 먹어요. So on Sunday, my family makes lunch, and then we eat it together. 사진을 찍어가지고 SNS에 올렸어요. So 찍어가지고 or 찍어서. So I took a photo. Notice it's in the present tense because the past tense took comes from the end of the sentence. So you don't need to conjugate anything else here. I took a photo and uploaded it to social media. 사진을 찍어가지고 SNS에 올렸어요. 김치가 매워가지고 혼났어요. So I got in trouble. 혼나다. I was scolded because 매워가지고, because the kimchi was spicy. They didn't want spicy kimchi, but I made it spicy, so I got in trouble. They're like, hey, what'd you do? 김치가 매워가지고 혼났어요. I didn't do it on purpose. 돼지고기가 없어가지고 소고기를 가져왔어요. So, 돼지고기가 없다. There is no, or I don't have any, 돼지고기, pork. So because I don't have any pork, 소고기를 가져왔어요. So I brought beef. And the reason for that is because I don't have any pork. 돼지고기가 없어가지고 소고기를 가져왔어요. So I brought beef because I don't have any pork, or I didn't have any pork. 햄버거가 너무 커가지고. So the hamburger is 너무 too much. What? 크다, big. 커가지고. So because 커서, because the burger is too big, 먹기 힘들어요. It's easy. Sorry, it's difficult to eat. It's too big. It's so easy to eat. 먹기 힘들어요. It's hard to eat because it's too big. 햄버거가 너무 커가지고 먹기 힘들어요. A couple advance notes since you've made it this far. This expression is often used as a filler. Filler is something that may or may not have a literal meaning, but it's used often simply to fill space. So because it's longer than 서, anytime you can use it, it's used because it takes longer to say, and then it kind of gives me a little bit more thinking time. In this case, it still has the same meaning, but they're just using it even though they didn't have to because they want an extra second to think about what to say. So that's one of the other reasons why you're going to hear this used a lot. One more thing. You might also hear this word pronounced slightly differently. A really common way to hear this is 가지고 or 갖고. So this is the exact same thing, just pronounced as 구, which makes it a bit softer, a little bit more friendlier sounding even than it already is. And I'd say it's just as commonly said this way. Okay, and that is the lesson. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. 다음에 또 봐.